Thanks for joining us on this special spring sports preview episode of The Lion's Den. I'm Gavin Dunkel. Today's show features interviews with players and coaches from the 5 spring teams: baseball, boys volleyball, track and field, softball, and boys tennis. Baseball is in the leadoff spot right after this short break. Coach Tom Smith and player Tanner Stroup join us to talk Mountain Lion baseball. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Now, Coach, it's a new season and a fresh start. So what kind of improvements did you make this offseason, and what areas did you focus on?
Well, in the offseason, we tried to go over as much of the fundamentals as possible, try to keep kids healthy. We're lifting weights, we're doing some workouts on the field in the fall, and it's just all about, for the most part, refreshing things that they already know, and if they're a newer player, showing them, what's up on the field and in the weight room.
Now, you mentioned workouts and that. Take me through some of the things that you focus on in a workout.
Obviously, we're trying to teach them fundamentals. At this level, they should have a good, a good base, as far as fundamentals. So we're just, continuing to go over those. And we're in the weight room, doing, pretty much baseball specific, exercises in there and lifting. So.
Now, in recent years, you've continued to send players to the next level. So what kind of things have you done to develop these young players to continue their careers into college?
Well, I don't know that it's anything that the coaching staff is doing, because by the time they get to our level, they've sort of separated themselves out. And these kids, it's the kids who were putting the work in. Again, we're trying to, refine things like we talked about in the fall and even in the wintertime in the weight room. But it's all the other stuff that these kids are doing when they're not with us, that I think is leading to their success, because the ones who are going on to the next level are the ones who are putting the time and the effort.
All right. So Tanner, you've decided to continue your career at Marshall University. So take us through that and kind of tell us what made you come to that decision.
It was back in August of last year, I committed to play at West Virginia, and they had a bunch of stuff going on as like a coaching staff, and they had a bunch of moving parts, and they're on the brink of winning the World Series. So, you want to go somewhere where you probably want to play to start out, and I felt like the way they were thinking, where they were heading, the transfer portal and all that stuff made it kind of hectic. So me and my family decided to pack our bags and move on down to Marshall. Marshall has always been on me, even since day one there, my first call. That's a team that wanted me, and that's somewhere I want to play baseball, and it's a good program. They just beat up on Virginia Tech last night, 13-4, so they're heading in the right direction, and I know they're going to be at the top of the Sun Belt. So the coaching staff is just amazing all the way around, and being able to play for them, and the money doesn't matter to me. Just being able to get a chance to play as a freshman is the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. So what kind of training have you been doing this offseason?
I've done a lot of baseball-specific stuff, not only in the weight room with the team, but like on my own with my personal trainer. I've worked a lot on velocity stuff, but not even just that, more of like command and just trying to be around the strike zone and attack hitters, and on the hitting side, it's just trying to get more power and speed running around the bases.
Now, Coach, what would you say is your team's biggest strength?
Well, probably our biggest strength at this point right now is just our enthusiasm, togetherness. How far that takes you, I don't know. In a sport, you want some talent, and I think we do have some talent. We're trying to fight through some injuries, even just as we're getting started. But as a coaching staff, we love the enthusiasm that the kids are showing. They've been out there in the fall workouts. The weight room effort was tremendous. So that's probably our biggest strength right now, is their commitment and enthusiasm.
Now, early on in the year, what kind of leadership have you begun to see from some of your returning starters?
Well, we've lost a really good player in Dante LaRocco through injury. And that's hard to replace, a 10th grade third team like All-State as Tanner was. But Dante is mature enough that he's turned into a coach, a student coach. He's the one who sort of leads a lot of the enthusiasm every day at practice, and even though he's injured, he's He's coming every day. Tanner himself has taken on a leadership role, Nick Kraft, and I don't want to leave some of the other seniors out, but those three guys are probably going to be our captains as we move into the season. And some days they lead by example, sometimes they do it vocally.
All right, well, good luck this season.
Yeah, thank you so much.
The baseball team opens play at Central Dauphin on Thursday. Korbyn will take over hosting duties to talk boys tennis after this.
The boys tennis team heads to Penn Trafford Monday to start the regular season. Coach Jacob College and senior Aiden Aiken are here in the Den to talk all things tennis. Welcome to the Den, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Coach, how long have you been the tennis coach here at AHS?
This is my 5th year coaching for the boys and the girls team.
And how did you become the coach here?
I became the coach when the previous tennis coach, he left to pursue a different tennis career. And so I had just graduated from college, and it was kind of the best thing for everyone. So it was a kind of a smooth transition. I applied, and here we are.
Aiden, how long have you been playing tennis for?
I've been playing for 8 years now. That's my senior season, yeah.
And how did you get into tennis?
I randomly got into it. It was actually after my 4th grade year into 5th grade, right after fall sports had ended. I actually got into it with the Hollidaysburg coaches, funny story. But and then I ended up making the switch to playing for Altoona over one of those summers.
Now, Coach, what does a typical tennis practice look like?
Typical tennis practice will look like it. Honestly, it depends on who we're playing. Matches or practices are all scheduled in advance. Like the practice plan it's planned out. So it kind of just depends on who we're playing and the things that I feel that we need to work on going into that match, whether it's for someone playing singles or someone that's playing doubles.
And you guys practice both indoor and outdoor. What's the benefit of practicing both at Gorilla House and at Mansion?
The major benefit is whenever the weather is not being cooperative, if it's too cold out, if it's raining, we do have that indoor backup to go inside and not miss a step with practice.
Now, tennis is also commonly known as an individual or partner sport. How does it work as a school-wide team sport?
So for every single match that we play as a team, if we're playing Hollidaysburg, for example, we'll play what's called a 3-2 format. So 3 singles matches and 2 doubles matches. So a team has to win 3 out of those overall 5 matches to be crowned the winner of that match. And so from the team aspect, teammates are cheering each other on. You're trying to win a minimum of 3 of those matches.
Now, is there any difference between singles and doubles other than the fact that there's just one more player?
In fact, yes, there's a big difference. I mean, when you're playing doubles, the court is a lot smaller because there's 4 people on the court. So there's a lot more strategy that goes on in doubles. Not that there isn't any strategy in singles, but there's definitely a certain strategy that we try to implement when playing doubles compared to playing singles.
Now, Aiden, do you play doubles or singles more?
During the season, I typically play doubles more. I've been on 1-dubs since my sophomore year with my partner Avery Lansendorfer. We've came out victorious a lot our sophomore and junior year.
Right. And is there a particular strategy you have going into a match?
We just try to go in and make the most of it and just have fun and not let our opponents get to us, because then that's when you start hitting balls out or you serve crazy, or you just got to kind of go in with a positive mindset, or else you'll be set up for failure from the start.
Now, Coach, is it you or the athletes who kind of decide if they play singles a match or doubles?
I have some input, but I try to stay out of it as much as I can. So at the beginning of every season, I'll put all the players into groups, and they'll play challenge matches against each other. So they'll play off, and it comes down to them to determine where they are at on the team ladder, whether it's singles or doubles.
And you guys go to a lot of tournaments. How does that help affect the athletes?
I've always felt that playing in a lot of tournaments against good competition is very beneficial. We live in an area where, other than Hollidaysburg, there's not really a lot of tennis programs around us. So for us to get better, we have to travel to whether it's Pittsburgh, Lancaster, and that's where a lot of the good schools are housed at. And when we go to these tournaments, or if we host these tournaments, I try to bring in those schools that that will most likely be in the state playoffs come April and May.
So Aiden, last question. What is something that someone who may just be watching a match not realize or know about tennis?
I think someone that's just like from an outside view might think, oh, this doesn't look that hard. Which, no, I'm not saying tennis is a super hard sport to play, but it takes a lot of skill to be good. And that's one thing people don't realize is it's such a mental sport. Like, it's very physical, but your mental state plays a vital role in your game.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. From one sport with a net to another, Keegan joins us next to talk AAHS boys volleyball.
Coach John Sabo joins us once again on the Lions Den, this time to talk about boys volleyball. Caleb Terza brings us the player perspective. Gentlemen, thanks for being here. Coach Sabo, how long have you been coaching?
This is my 23rd year as the head coach, my 31st year of being involved with the boys volleyball program.
And what would you say is the most important aspect of volleyball?
I think the most important aspect of the game of volleyball is really the teamwork aspect. The guys really have to work together to achieve the goals of winning the game. You need somebody to pass, you need somebody to set, you need somebody to hit. So, if you don't have good chemistry on the court, I think the team doesn't get what they want out of the game itself.
Caleb, what position do you play and why does it fit you?
So I'm actually a setter, so I do a lot of the setting with the second ball, and I think it fits me because a lot of it is leadership, and I feel like I'm a pretty decent leader at most times on the court. And I like being able to have the control of like where the ball goes, who gets to hit it, just making the smart decision, what we need as a team pretty much.
As a setter, you have to have good team chemistry. What person on the team do you think you have the best chemistry with?
I'd probably say Parker Huey-Kish. Well, we do have a lot of fights. We're pretty close, and we know what we like about each other or what we need from each other.
Now, Coach Sabo, although chemistry is the most important part, conditioning is also very important in a game like volleyball. How do you keep your kids conditioned?
Throughout our practices, we do a lot of running in our drills, so it's kind of built in that we don't have to. I mean, yes, we have consequences when goals aren't achieved, things like that, and running consequences. But a lot of it also comes inherently in the way that the drills are designed for the guys to continuously move. So it builds up that on-court stamina.
Volleyball is a game of runs and rallies. How do you guys stay focused while either up or down a set?
We try to break the game down into smaller segments. So it's a game of 25 points. So we do a couple of different things. A lot of times we'll say just win a game to one. Win this rally and get that 1 point and get back to the service line. We also sometimes will break it down into segments of 5. You want to be the first team to 5, first team to 10, first team to 15, etc. That way it helps the guys to be a little bit more focused. They can set that goal out in front of them that they can keep working to achieve as the game is continuously moving. If you're down a set, it obviously becomes a little bit more difficult. And Caleb can chime in there. When you're down a set, it's that situation where you got to dig and claw a little bit more. But at the same time, it's not completely out of reach.
Yep, definitely. You got to dig your heels in and just keep fighting through it.
Now, Caleb, what is your strongest skill, do you think?
I'd probably say my setting, obviously, physically wise. But I would say I'm a pretty good communicator on the court. Like, I tell my guys what sets to run, and I try to be as loud as I can, obviously. But even whenever I'm not as loud as I should be, I ask my guys, like, hey, what can I do to help you guys out?
And obviously your season doesn't just start whenever you have your first game. How do you stay strong during the off season?
Well, there's actually a club based out of Tyrone, I think it is. It's Horseshoe Volleyball Club, which a lot of the guys at Altoona and as well as State College, they play for that. I didn't play for that this year, but I had in previous years. But I also go to the gym a lot to stay physically in shape.
What would you say is your favorite part of volleyball?
I'd probably say the team, just like having a separate family other than like at home, because I think that's a big part of Altoona volleyball especially. Like, we're all one big family. Like, I kind of see Coach Sabo as like maybe like a father figure, or as well as my other coach, Coach Keggy, and Coach Price too. Like, it's definitely a family aspect of it.
Now, last question here. I'll ask both of you this question. What are you guys' goals for the season? I'll start with you, Caleb, and then go to you, Coach.
I'd probably just say to win and to improve. I would say more improving than winning, because we do have a lot of younger guys on the team this year, more juniors than seniors. There's only 3 seniors this year, and even one of the seniors, Noah DiVincenzo, he's pretty new to it. But I think we have a lot of room for improvement that we can achieve, and that's what I really want to see out of our guys.
I think our number one goal every year is to win districts. I think you always want that. You have that competition with State College, that rivalry with State College. Once you move beyond that particular goal, you obviously want to have a secondary goal of winning a state championship. You put those two in their separate category of these are what we want to achieve at the end of the season. But at the same time, I think it's also building that brotherhood, that camaraderie that makes your team what it is. And as you're setting those goals, you look at the smaller aspects of your game that are going to help you to achieve those larger aspects. You want to pass a certain percentage to a certain place. You want to have so many aces. You want to have so many. You can take statistical goals that will help you to achieve your bigger goal of your district or your state championship. But I think the biggest part of it is kind of like Caleb said, is fostering that family atmosphere that we have. That we are a brotherhood. And there are a lot of times that old Altoona volleyball guys will come back and talk to our younger guys about the game and help them as well. So I think it plays into what our ultimate goals are every year.
Well, Coach, Caleb, McKinley, good luck as you guys start the season Tuesday against Carlisle. We will be right back with track and field after this break. The switch from indoor track and field to outdoor is one of the quickest turnarounds in high school sports. Coach Mike Adams and athletes Colin Edders and Hannah Oluwade, welcome to the Lions Den, guys.
Glad to be here.
Coach, how long have you been coaching track and field?
This would be my 27th year, so it's been a while.
And what would you say is the most important trait that a track athlete can have?
Work ethic. It's plain and simple. Who wants to work hard?
Now, Hannah, Colin, what events do you each run? Colin, I'll start with you, and then I'll go to you, Hannah.
So I'll run the 100, 200, 400, 4x1, or the 4x4.
Hannah?
I do the 100 hurdles, 300 hurdles, long and triple jump, and then I'm throwing in some 4x4s here and there.
And she complains about it every time.
No.
How have you guys prepared for the outdoor season? Colin, I'll start with you, then go to you, Hannah.
Well, we had indoor right beforehand, so that got me pretty good shape. So.
Yeah, same thing. We did indoor, and then actually me and a couple of jumpers went to the Shippensburg camp, so that got us prepared as well.
Now, speaking of indoor, Coach, how is your approach to outdoor different than what your approach is to indoor?
Indoor, it's a different animal because of the facilities. We don't have an indoor facility, so we run in the halls. We make the best of what we can with training, especially because we can't get outside much because of the weather in the winter. But then when we go outdoors, it's obviously opens a lot of things up because we have the track, the facilities, and we're out there every day regardless of the weather. So there's definitely a different approach, but it's based on the facilities.
And Coach, track isn't your typical football, basketball sport like that. How do you think it differs than these other sports?
I think it differs, but I think it's also the same a lot. We try to emphasize the team a lot in track and field, winning team invitationals, districts, states, that kind of thing. But it does differ in a way that every sport or every event is individualized. And only really you're relying on the team for relay events. So it is different, but it also is the same.
Now, Colin, Hannah, both being seniors who have made impacts very, very early in your high school career, how does your past experience running in big meets, even as freshmen and sophomores, how does that help you right now? Hannah, start with you.
I would say like just the atmosphere and seeing like other athletes work as hard as you work, like that just makes you want to put in the work and be as great. And one athlete I would say that I looked up to is Haley Kravitz. She's running at Pitt now. Just seeing the way that she would work hard just in practice, and then seeing the determination that she would have in meets, just like made me want to be a better athlete and someone I idolized.
Colin?
Well, I know what I'm getting myself into every meet now. I still get just as nervous as I would when I was in 9th grade, but I've been kind of used to it now.
Like I said, both of you guys are seniors. What do you expect to do as leaders of this team, Hannah?
Just make sure, like, leading the team. Like, sometimes you see the freshmen, especially the freshmen, they, like, slack off a little bit or, like, they look lost. Just taking control of your team, guiding them through. Because, I mean, you were once in that position. Like, I was once a freshman. I was once like that. So just making sure that I know, like, they are the same as me, like, just guiding them.
Colin, anything?
Just got to keep everyone going.
Coach Adams, what is something people don't see during the track and field season? Like most people expect it's just running, but obviously there's different aspects to it. What would you say they would be?
I mean, it's tough because it is a technical sport. Obviously people just think running, but the jumps are very technical, the throws are very technical, pole vault's very technical, hurdles are very technical. So there's a lot of time spent on technique rather than just conditioning.
Coach Adams, you used to run track for Altoona.
A lot of years ago.
So with all this experience, what is one piece of advice you would want to give some of your track athletes?
I mean, I just think, and these guys know what I'm about to say because I say it a million times, is that work ethic and attitude are the two most important things and a trait of an athlete in general. And we emphasize that in track. And, we also, and these two are perfect examples of this, academically, they're stellar students. And, we want kids to be well-rounded. They're here for education, so that's first. And then the athletic part's second. So that's kind of where we stand as a staff, and that's what we emphasize.
Last question. For all three of you, I'll start with Hannah, go to Colin, then you, Coach Adams. What are your personal or just general goals for this year?
I just want to keep on working hard. I feel like I had a good indoor season, so I just want to keep that going through outdoor and go to states for all my events.
Colin?
I want to win districts first and then take care of it at states.
Coach Adams?
Not to have any more gray hairs after the season. Usually I get more after every track season, so that's my goal.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. The track and field teams open its season Tuesday, March 24th at Mansion Park against Cumberland Valley. Well, we are through 4 of the 5 spring season teams. Korbyn returns to the desk to talk about softball next on the Lions Den.
The softball season begins on the road as the girls head to rival State College on Monday, March 23rd. Coach Alyssa Rumberger and student athlete Kai Sprankel join us now in the den. Thanks for joining us here. All right. Coach, how long have you been coaching softball?
This is my 3rd year coaching the varsity team at Altoona, but I've actually been coaching since I was 19 and in college, coaching in rec leagues in the summer.
And what got you into coaching softball?
I've been playing softball since I was 5 years old, and I played through junior high and high school here at Altoona, and then went on to play at junior out of college. So while I was in college, I wanted to get involved in coaching, so I came back and coached in the summer league that I had played in as a kid, and I kind of just went from there.
And Kaya, how long have you been playing softball?
Probably since I was 8, yeah.
And what got you into it?
So as every child does, whenever you're younger, you try all the different sports, and then I eventually tried softball, and that's what I ended up sticking with.
Now, what position do you play in softball?
Catcher and outfield.
Yeah. And would you consider yourself more of a power hitter or a contact hitter?
I'd say a little of both. I mean, if I need to hit for power, I can, but if we need to put a ball in play, I'll be able to do that too.
Coach, what does a typical practice look like? for you guys?
During a practice, we try to work on all aspects of the game, offense and defense. We work with pitchers and catchers. We also try to get a lot of game-like situations in practice, whether that be scrimmaging, like inter-squad, or working on situations with base runners, anything that we think we need to work on to help us for the next game.
And do you think you guys focus more on offense or defense in a practice?
It's probably honestly a combination of the two. We try to split our practices about 50-50 offense and defense. Sometimes it depends on how we performed in the last game, if there's specific things that we want to focus on.
And what goes through your mind when you try to set a lineup going into an upcoming game?
Going into the upcoming games, we try to focus on, where we have been successful in previous games, who's been performing well in practice, and really the best combination that we think we can put together to produce runs, because really that's what it all comes down to.
Now, on the other side of the game, how do you guys develop pitchers?
Pitching is really tough to develop in softball because it's so different from typical throwing mechanics. We try to work with girls as young as possible, whether that be like in our local youth leagues, developing pitchers at the junior high level so that they're not starting fresh when they get to the high school. But when they do get to the high school level, it's a lot of fine-tuning the mechanics that they already have and working on developing new pitches.
Micaiah, what's your favorite part about playing softball?
Probably being with a team. Our pitcher, Charlie, I've been playing with her since I was probably 8, probably for the past almost 10 years. So, you really build a lot of different relationships on the team that you wouldn't build outside of that. Some of the girls I don't think I ever would have met if I wasn't on the team. So definitely the relationships you build.
And as a catcher, you get strong relationships with pitchers. How does that work?
So even outside of practices, you have to build that relationship because my pitcher has to trust me. If she doesn't trust me, then we're not going to get the calls that we can get, I guess.
And this is your senior year. How much of an impact do senior leaders have on the rest of the team?
Definitely a lot, especially for the incoming freshmen. They're coming from the junior high, and most people don't think it's as big of a jump it is. But you're in the new school, and then seeing all different people that you've never played with before, the seniors can really help influence the freshmen and show them what they should be doing and be like a role model for them.
Coach, how are you planning to improve from last year?
We definitely made some strides last year. I think our goal this year is to be competitive in every game. The biggest thing for us is that we have a really solid core group of returners. We have 8 seniors this year, so this should be a big year for us with returning players, and then also a lot of new talent as well that we're going to be working on developing at the JV level.
And what are you telling players when they get into a slump at the plate?
The biggest thing is confidence. There's a big mental aspect to the game, especially on the offensive side of things. So being able to reset if you're in the middle of a bad at bat and turn it around. We always tell them that's why you get 3. So having that mentality, I think, helps.
Speaking of the mentality, Kai, how important is it to keep a positive attitude in the sport, and how do you keep a positive attitude?
I feel like honestly that's the biggest part of it, because especially as a senior, a lot of people look to not just your talent but your attitude. And as soon as you get a bad attitude, it affects the rest of the team. And I feel like that is where we struggled a little bit last year with some people. But I feel like this year, a lot of us are going to have a better attitude and mentality to really help strive to win more games and stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay, and final question, Kaya. Would you rather hit a home run or rob a home run?
Definitely rob a home run.
Rob
100%,
a home run?
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck this season. We hope you enjoyed this special episode of The Lions Den. Please like this episode and subscribe to the MLTV YouTube channel. We appreciate your support. Good luck to our spring student athletes. The Lions Den will return with more AHS sports talk on Friday, March 27th.
Don't miss a minute of great MLTV programming like The Lions Den and live sports. Be sure to like this video and click the subscribe button below. Help us grow viewership by sharing our links and events to social media. Thanks for being an MLTV viewer.